a dress that Gabby and I have bought. She bought the blazer and I bought the dress. And that we had that like 15 years ago. So that's at least how long we've been around here. So, this is my team, y'all, and I'm very proud of our team. We are a fully bilingual office, so all of us will know Spanish and English, and then we can also speak Texan if you get us going. Mix that in and speak all sorts of Texan for you. So over here we have Erika. She is our other salesperson. So my first salesperson is out. She's on maternity leave. She's out there babying it up with all sorts of stuff and stuff that I tell her not to look on TikTok. And so Erica's come on board as well, and so she is going to be reaching out. So if y'all hear that friendly voice, it is Erika, and we are so excited. We have been wanting her to, leave the assisting desk, but we gave her a chance. She started, like all of us, y'all. We always start at the front desk. She did a fabulous job there, and then she went back and became an assistant and did an amazing job. Amanda was it was bittersweet for Amanda. She lost her assistant, but she knows that, we are supportive of each other, and when it was time for her to get on up there, she's there now. So that's Erika. And then over here I have my amazing Amanda. So she's our other closer here. So if you have an opportunity, I want to encourage y'all to close with her. She has the funnest, most fun at her closings. I'm like, even when she does all my other ends, if I'm in a closing or I've double booked, I'm sitting there and I'm so boring in mine, and she's like, God. I mean, there's laughing. I'm like, why should I always have to be showing out? And those are my clients in there, and I'm be all boring and everything. So, y'all, if y'all have it, y'all are missing out because she does amazing in her closings. And then I have Gabby. Gabby is our honestly, y'all, the whole right arm of this office. So anything that we need help with, especially, as I leave out of town, a lot of the burden of the weight goes on her. She's an amazing assistant. She's been assistant for, like I said, at least 15 years alongside of me. So I'm very excited, to always present her to y'all so that when she calls or when y'all hear her voice, that's her. And then Elizabeth over here is our newest, but not, she's new, but not really. We can stop saying that, Elizabeth, because now you're old news now. Elizabeth is also an assistant here, and she is learning the ropes. She also started in the front, and so and took a little gap year, and then she's come back, and now she's full force back here. So this is my team, y'all, and so whenever y'all need anything, I wanted y'all to put a face to the name, especially when they call or as they're emailing you guys. I wanted y'all to know who they were. So this is my team. Thanks, y'all. Thank you guys. All right. So, do you have anything that you want to announce, Erika? Anything coming up for you? I don't. Okay. Very good. All right. So, the bread and butter of what we do, y'all, is very simple. We insure title. So, we insure that the title that you guys, from your sellers, and then we insure the title from your buyers, that it is free and clear. Because one, your buyer's going to want a free and clear title, and two, your lenders want a free and clear title. It is also really important to know that title insurance in the state of Texas is actually optional. I didn't know if y'all were aware of that. But, so you can do a transaction just like you can drive your car with liability insurance, right? And then when you hit somebody, you just take on all the...
But that's without a mortgage.
That is without a mortgage. That is correct. All lenders will require, unless I know any different. Do you know of any lender that will not require a title policy?
There's a new law in Texas that we can do with a lawyer, but we don't. It's very unusual because it costs about the same.
It is. It is the same, and it's not insurance. That's correct.
Correct.
It is just an attorney's opinion letter. Yes.
Correct.
Very good. So, yes. So, if your buyer is doing a mortgage, then it is required. If your buyer is doing cash, all the more reason, y'all. This is their money that they are investing, and absolutely, you want to encourage them to buy title insurance. And so what title insurance does, y'all, is very simple. We go to the records building, we pull all the information that is on that property, and we do a name search, so that's why we pull up child support, we pull up divorces, we pull up la esposa que venía de la otra que vino y entró. So we do it all. That's how all of it comes up into these title reports. And those title reports are compiled into these little things called a title commitment. And it is basically that. We're committing through this report to insure title to your customer. So I'm going to be going through it. Before y'all, it's going to be two sets, and I'm going to be going through them as through them as we're going through the slideshow. So that's what title insurance is. It's a form of indemnity. It protects lenders and homebuyers from a financial loss. There's been so many times, y'all, that I have had encounters with people that were like, oh, it's that my neighbor, I brought it from my neighbor and I know them and they wouldn't. The neighbor didn't realize that when he didn't pay his child support, it's not that they're doing it fraudulently, y'all. Sometimes we just don't realize what will attach itself to our name and to our property. Anything federal, y'all, will attach. You owe IRS, you owe child support, it will attach to anything that you own. Your job, they'll take your money. Your assets, it'll attach on them. So a lot of times it's not that the neighbor was being fraudulent. The neighbor didn't know. He just thought, yeah, I owe child support, or yeah, I had this ex-wife, or ya me divorcié, or whatever the case is. When in fact, that is not free and clear title. And if now y'all, especially, with the way that things are, if people are being deported and people are being taken out of their homes, all of that needs title insurance, because we still need to find all of the history for these properties. So that is title insurance. And indemnity is just a protection, y'all. You're indemnifying. The seller says, hey, I want you to free clear, because I don't want you to come back and ask me for taxes. I don't want you to ask me for anything that I owe. They want to be indemnified by it. So we secure that by clearing that title. So promulgated is just what's already put into a rule or a law. And I'll show y'all what promulgated is when we see it on the title commitment. Okay, so the title commitment is that, y'all, it is just a commitment that we are sending out. That's why we don't send these. If you ever ask us to open title, we will. But we don't send out a title commitment on a listing. And the reason is because we're not yet committing, right, to clearing title on a property you've not sold yet. So these title commitments are attached to a guaranteed file number, or what we have as an acronym, GF. So whenever you see a GF, it's a number that is given out on a file where it is a guaranteed file. We're saying, hey, we're guaranteeing to be able to close this, we need to clear these things on this title commitment.
Could you go over why we should open title, or if they're offering on a listing, title should be open, and what properties?
Yep. So what we do is, when you go to your listing agreements, and as you're sitting there, remember, you guys are the front line, right? The front line soldiers, right? So you guys are on the front lines. You get to go into their properties. You get to go into meeting them, and this is on the listing side. So as sellers, agents. You're talking to them when you are meeting in their living room, and they have that big pretty picture, and there's certainly a wife in there because she's got a veil, but then he's telling you, I'm not married. Those are things that should be red flags, right? So jot it down. If he was talking about he was married, well, what happened to the wife? Where is she? Where did she go? So jot those things down. If they tell you, oh, my wife died, but she wasn't even entitled, those are important things, y'all. All of that should ring a bell for you to say, hey, I need to open title on this. Just so that you guys are doing a lot of hard work of marketing the property, of doing your videos, your content, your pictures, drones, all of the stuff that you are investing up front, right? Because I'm not yet seeing where they're paying up front for that. So if they're not paying up front, you're paying it up front. You want to make sure that your investment into that property is going to pay out. So if you know of all of this, if you see that there was a wife and then that's now a new wife, or anything that is leading you, or if they're talking about a trust, inheritance, all of those are key words that you should be like, let me open title on this. So what will happen is you can contact me or Amanda. What we'll do is we'll pull title. You won't get a report. I will tell you that. You won't get a report. But what will happen is Amanda and I will research it for you. And we'll look at it and we'll say, hey, there's a wife on here, but then you told me that he told you he wasn't married. What happened to her? Or if there is somebody deceased, let's start working on that. With deceased people, y'all, it is a whole other ballpark. If you've got a deceased person, but that person had children prior to that marriage, or children not from that marriage, there is a whole other set of things that we have to encounter. So you want to make sure that the property that you're marketing, one, you can sell it. Because a lot of times, if you don't have all those heirs on board, it is not selling that quickly. Two, that if you are marketing a property, that it is a property that everybody knows, hey, it's going to be sold, and this is, you want all your players in the game. So those are a couple of reasons why. If you get there and everything is gravy, he has a mortgage, and him and the wife are there, and you saw the little picture, y somos tres hijos, no problem. We don't need to open anything on that. But trust your gut, y'all. A lot of times I have been in the closing, or I have been talking to people, and I'm like, something doesn't feel right. Like, I need to research this. And so trust that. And always, that's what Amanda and I come alongside of you. We do this, and we know so does Radican, so does Capital, so does Independent, so does Providence, so does all the other companies. We're just trying to come alongside of you to partner with you, to tell you, hey, we want to make sure that you succeed, because then we succeed. What do you need help with? You need help with us researching that property? Let's do it. Let me help. Let's look at it. So that's that's at that time when you should. We cannot open title when you represent the buyer. So just so you know, because then you didn't have the exclusive rights for that property. So only as a listing agent is that service offered. On a buyer, we cannot, because it's the commitment is for somebody else. Okay.
So I have a question. Do you host it separately, or it comes with all the cost at the end?
What's that?
To open the title.
So to open title, there is no fee. We do not charge.
Okay.
And the reason only because we don't send you a title commitment. So at that point, there's been no commitment on my side. All I'm doing is just partnering with you to research the property. So there is no charge. There's also no charge job for us to do net sheets. I do net sheets for Marisol all the time. We also have an
Can you
app.
talk about why?
So the net sheets are important, y'all, because again, you want to make sure that, if you have a very particular seller that says, hey, I want to know down to the last penny what I'm going to get out of this transaction, out of this contract, you can make a very educated guess. But if that seller wants something that is like concrete, send it over to me, and I will quickly, I do it on the app. You can do it on the app as well. It is branded. So if you want to upload your picture, whenever you send it out by text, it will have your picture on it. However you want to do it. I can do it for you, or you can do it. But through our app, it will have our fees, and it'll have title policy fees. Keep in mind that title policy fees are standard. Those don't change from us to another title company. They will be the same. What does tend to fluctuate is our office fees, our escrow fee, title commitment, or title tax certificate fee. Other things will be different. So our app will be pertaining to our fees. But I can also do that. That is also free of charge. Okay, a T7 is it's the technical or coded name for a title commitment. The effective date for those are 90 days. So if by chance you have a closing that goes past 90 days, we do what we call a bring to date, and to make sure that all of the stuff is current. So that's what a T7 on that is. All right, so Schedule A. So you want to open up the one that has the stamp. So this one that has the stamp. The very first one is just our wire fraud alert, y'all. This is important for you all to understand why a wire fraud is on here. Wire fraud is real, y'all. I actually had a wire diverted, and it came through the lender because all of us are trying to facilitate it, right? So the lender thought it was just easier to go into the buyer reached out to the lender, and the lender's like, yeah, you're gonna send this much, and here's the title, here's the wire instructions, but that email was diverted. Why? Because we're at Starbucks, because we're in the mall, because we're driving on I-20, and there's hackers all over, y'all, all over. Whenever you go onto someone's Wi-Fi, it is 99.9% not safe. But you get the convenience of using it, but it is not a safe Wi-Fi. It's exposed to being able to get hacked, and a lot of times they were hacked. So my name was misspelled, had he opened the email, he would have seen that it said Maria Rodriguez with the S and mine is with the Z. And then Alamo Title was spelled animal, like the animal, not Alamo, but like animal. So, but you know, it comes to us and it just says like the first name, right? And he was thinking, oh, okay, yeah, this is from Maria, and it came from my lender, and all is well. And it was diverted. $425,000 were diverted. But nobody steals money on my watch, so we were able to recover every bit of that money. But it took quick. It was quick, y'all. It was quick when he realized it wasn't coming. When I realized, I'm like, open that email, let me look at it. And when we realized what had happened. And this was a very rookie crook, because he sent it and the money actually had hit the day before and he hadn't taken it out. So we were able to recover that money, but that's not always the case, y'all. So please, wire fraud, do not, even though it's a little pain in the butt for us, I would 1000% prefer for you not to forward our wiring instructions. Send them to me. Send them to our team. We will send that secure to them so that it cannot be hacked. So remember, in a hack transaction, all of the players that were in that transaction get subpoenaed. It's a mess, y'all. So I know that you're trying to be helpful, but just tell your buyer or your seller, hey, you know what? All of your money, all of your banking, deal with Maria, deal with Amanda directly. Don't be the middle person on that side. Not on that. We'll ask you for help, for sure, and then we appreciate your help. But for money, let us deal with that. Okay, so the very first page is what we call in a title commitment the jacket. The jacket is just the T7, what we just said. It's all the promulgated stuff that the state requires us to tell you, that we are certified through the insurance board in the state of Texas, and all that good stuff. My signature would be on this side, and then our officer's signature on the other side. So very standard here. And it just goes into the next page, same thing. All right, so Schedule A. Our title commitment is broken into 4 schedules, A, B, C, and D. Schedule A is going to have your GF number, and then it's going to propose what type of policy we are issuing. So if you go down to number 1B, it's telling you that Ernesto and Claudia are getting a $20,000 policy. Oh, this is for a lot. I was like, 20,000, but it's a lot. But most importantly, check out number 3 down at the bottom. That number 3 should match verbatim to the seller on your contract. If his name is Juan Carlos Antonio, you need to have Juan Carlos Antonio on your contract. If it says Juan Carlos and then Maria Rodriguez needs to be on your contract. It didn't matter that he didn't want his wife on there, that the wife doesn't belong on there, that he is Mexican and he doesn't want his wife on there. The wife goes on there. Make sure your contract matches what is on. And if you are a buyer's agent, question. If it says Trust LLC, why does it say Trust LLC on Schedule A when you told me that the buyer was Juan Carlos, right? That's important because this is who legally has the right to sell the property according to the records. So if something changed, did it just change recently? What changed recently? How did it change recently? So Schedule A will show who the owner of the property is. That's Schedule A.
What section is it?
Right here, Schedule A, number 3.
That's not who it's going to, that's who owns it?
That is who owns it. So that's your quote-unquote seller. That should match the contract.
Okay.
So a lot of times if you see somebody else's name on the tax records, because sometimes I go through the tax records,
Right.
Tax records are not who owns the property. Tax records are simply who gets the bill for the taxes.
Got it.
Then also something very equally important on Schedule A is number 4. That's your legal description, y'all. Nowadays, where we're seeing a lot of new property being replatted, this is even more important. Because if your property has meets and bounds, which is by degrees, but here you put on your contract, you just put lot 1, block A, well, we have a problem. We want to make sure that we are selling and we are researching the right piece of land. So this should also match verbatim what you put on your contract. It should be lot and block exactly the same of whatever subdivision, of whatever county, of whatever city. So if yours is different, it's just a matter of question. Was a property recently replatted? Did you all take out a chunk of a property from somewhere? Was it done properly through the county? Because again, a lot of times we think we're gonna skip out paying the county or getting the county involved, and then we just go out there and we just say, yeah, I'm gonna send you from here to here, and I'm gonna call that 123 Main Street. And that's not always how it goes on our title commitment, okay? So that's Schedule A. Any questions on Schedule A? Okay, Schedule B. Schedule B is exactly what we're saying we are not going to insure, okay? This is already what we're telling you. There's no way around this stuff, okay? Basically, it's if there are already any restrictive covenants. If they put on the HOA, you cannot build a pink trailer house in the back. We cannot insure that. We're telling you we're not going to. We're accepting that. Because why? Because it's already been disclosed. You cannot build a pink trailer house back there. Right? So those are the things that we're already saying to you, we're not going to insure. Don't come back and say, well, I really wanted to park my RV back there, but if it was in the covenants and restrictions, we've disclosed that and we cannot. Also, if you go down, we also don't insure minerals. If the minerals don't belong to you, if the minerals were already taken by the previous owners, we're telling you there's nothing we can do about that. We are accepting that. We are accepting that from coverage. Okay? So it's just basically telling you what we're not going to insure on your title policy. The next page is just that also easements. Easements we're not insuring, y'all. There's no way for us to insure against easements. So all of this is a disclosure. Now it is important for your buyer to look at this because if they do have a 90-foot trailer, like Erika has owns a 90-foot trailer, she could park at our house, but if she goes to a nice subdivision and they don't want it, well, she just made a handsome investment into her 90-foot trailer that she's not going to be able to have. So it is important. If your buyer has said, oh, I want to put a carport porque a mí la lluvia no quiero que me caiga mi carro, go and read the covenants and restrictions. On a side note, all of these you can't tell on here, but when you get it electronically, they're going to have like a hyperlink. If your buyer clicks on the hyperlink, it'll get them directly to the document that we're talking about. So, por ejemplo, if down over here it says, like in one of the covenants, if they were wanting to build a 10-foot fence, if it's recorded and it's on one of the covenants, if they click on that, because it's blue, when you get it, it'll be blue. If they click on it, it's hyperlinked to the actual document so they can read it. Now, don't send me your buyers over here to ask me if they can build a 10-foot fence, because I don't know. They'll have to read. Or it's always advisable that if they do have something specific, if they want to put their nice, pretty Virgin Mary altar in the front, call it county. Call it county, because I don't want to make an assumption on something and then it not be that way. Okay, so
did you go over like what calls are like call it county versus what call you? Because a lot of like animals and all of that is like county.
Mm-hmm. So anything specific, that's how it's easiest for me to remember. Anything specific, anything general, like, hey, where's that easement on the survey? Call me, because I'm quick and I'll show you. But, oh, how many cows do I need to get the discount for the ag exemption? That's specific, right? And it changes, y'all. Now, because lands are becoming less, like you got an acre, you got an acre and a half, the county has changed some of the rulings on how many animals you need to have on property to be able to qualify for an ag exemption. I couldn't remember all of those, right? So then I'm going to direct you to call the county and find out directly from them. But if it's something on general about the title commitment, send them my way. I'm much more accessible than the county. But
so does it change? Like, I mean, do they keep changing? Like,
they don't keep changing it, but some counties have changed. Right. So where before you could have,
yeah, because maybe we probably asked today, and then we're dealing with the same situation after 3 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, do we assume that, yeah, it's still going to be the same, or we need to call the county again?
If you question it, or if your buyer is very specific about it, take that weight off of you. I'm not going to take it either. So send them to the county. Send them to the county to find out how many animals they need to have, how tall their fence can be. Another one is, with regards to the HOA, if they can put or not put a pool, how close to the, because, sometimes on more newer subdivisions, you get a more narrow lot. And then some of them are not allowing, I mean, the homeowner says, hey, it's on my land and I'm gonna put my pool de esquina a esquina, or from each fence post, and the HOA may say, no, we want, you know, a walkway through there. I mean, y'all, HOAs are amazingly powerful entities. And they're not regulated, so you have to abide by them. So not only, and they supersede what the county says, by the way. So even if the county says, yeah, you can have a pool, the HOA can be specific on what type of, how big a pool you can have. So if your buyer's in an HOA, I would have them reach out to both. So just to recap, if it is a specific question that they have with regards to how tall a fence, how many animals, what they can, you know, add on to the property, all of that is a county question. For me, where's that easement? Are the minerals leased? You know, what's on the survey? All of that I can answer. So those are, just so you'll know, the two different things there.
I have one question. There's a lot of people that add like extra bedrooms, whatever, to the home. So what do we base off, or how do we sell the property with extensions?
So that typically is done legally with a permit. And then if they did a permit, then they would have done a survey. And so then now it's on your survey. Now, sometimes the appraisals don't catch that, and you don't necessarily have to tell the appraisal company, but you do need to disclose it on your seller's disclosure, because what will happen is when it changes title, everything is looked at when it changes title. So that, you know, if you said, hey, I sold you a property that was 2,000 square feet and they were charging you 4,000 in taxes, but really it's now 2,500 square feet and they're going to charge you $5,000 in taxes, that's when it can make a difference, and the buyer can say, hey, I didn't know. So what you want to make sure is, were permits pulled? And we'll back up a little bit. If the appraisal says that the property is 2,000, but then your appraisal came back and it's 2,500, or the opposite could be true, it's actually 1,500. Well, now you have a discrepancy. You go back to your seller and say, hey, seller, what happened here? The county says this. Did they have it wrong? Or did you add something, or did something get knocked off? And so then that's kind of how you go around. But, and always, I mean, I'm sure you know, like in your listing consultation, you know, to make sure that your seller is like disclosing. I'd rather you over disclose, even if you didn't pull a permit. We're not the police. We're not going to call the police on you. But it's better to disclose, hey, I enclosed that porch, or I added that concrete, or I did whatever. Say it rather than be under contract and then there's issues once you're under contract and you didn't disclose. But that's how I would start. I would start with first, let's, you know, make sure that what the seller did or didn't do, or added or didn't add, is what you're disclosing to everybody. And then if he did add and it wasn't with the permit, let's get a new survey out there, so that now we have a survey with accurate dimensions of what the property looked like, so that we can share that with the appraisal. Okay, on to Schedule C, which is probably the most controversial of what we are always going to look at. Schedule C are the things that we have to clear, C to clear, for us to be able to insure title. So aquí es donde sale all of the skeletons in the closet, y'all. This is where we're going to find out all the things. But numbers 1 through 5 are what we call promulgated. These are just boiler printed stuff. So there's nothing that's going to be different on any title commitments from here to another title company. 1 through 5 is always the same. What you want to start then looking at is after that. So number 6 says we did not, the search did not disclose any open mortgages, meaning there's no loans on this property. And we hope not. It's a $20,000 lot. So there's no loans on this property. He doesn't seem to owe anything, but that doesn't mean as a title company we just take that at full face, because we know that there's arrangements done sometimes that are not recorded. So we ask, hey seller, so you don't have a mortgage on the property? And they're usually say, no mortgage. You don't owe anybody on the property? Nope, I don't know anybody. Then we're good. If they're like, well, I owe my neighbor because when I put the fence in, I didn't have any money, but I owe him like $5,000. Okay, let's get that added so we can take it out at closing. So those are just.
How do you even know if that's like owed if it's not on here?
The conversations. And on the sheet, so now we automate our sheets. So when I ask you for your seller and your buyer's email and telephone number, what we're doing is we're sending an email to them with a fill in the blank form online, and it's asking them, do you owe anybody? Do you have any mortgages? Do you have any judgments against you? Do you are you married? Are you divorced? Are you all these different things? So it's coming really off of what we're asking them, and then at closing they sign an affidavit, so that if they lie, it's just a document that we use to cover our butts to then go back and sue because they lied. And then 7 is the marital status. So as you noticed in the very front, our seller appears to be a single man, or a single person, I should say. Juan Carlos, right? There's no